Can I see the baby?
With eyes twinkling, 4-year-old me, smile plastered on my face, I stretched my hands towards Mom, who just brought home my baby sister, Destiny. Mom sat on the chair and I peered into her arms.
See how pretty she is? Don't you wish you were as pretty as she is?
Don't worry, Mommy. One day I'll be just as pretty as she is.
Mom cringed and laughed.
Sure you will, Solange.
Hey, before I get back to the story, my name is Solange. Like this video and subscribe to our channel. Also smash that notification bell so you'll know when we post more bizarre stories like mine. At age 4, I didn't quite understand what Mom meant, nor did I realize that she found me to be the most hideous thing on the face of the earth. Before Destiny was born, I would usually play alone in my room while she entertained friends or watched her soap operas. To be honest, I didn't really mind. However, after Destiny was born, I realized how differently Mom treated us. Mom took Destiny everywhere and always complimented her on how pretty she was, even though she couldn't understand what she was saying. Mom, on the other hand, always asked me why I wasn't as pretty as Destiny. I wanted Mom to pay attention to me as she did to Destiny. Mom never took me anywhere, not even to kindergarten. Mom had a driver to take me to and from school, and when she needed to leave home, she would call the babysitter. One afternoon when she was on her way out with Destiny, I stopped her.
Mom, can I please come with you? Destiny is going. Why can't I come?
I stomped my foot and pouted. Mom pat me on the head.
I thought you would have figured it out by now. You're an ugly little thing and I don't want to be seen in public with you. I didn't even want to bring you home from the hospital, but your father insisted. If you want to go out, go and talk to your father. Now run along. I'm sure Samantha has some nice games to keep you busy while I'm gone.
With that, Mom left and I spent the afternoon playing with Samantha, the babysitter. After that day, I never asked Mom to go anywhere again. But my luck changed a few months later, or so I thought when Mom came to my room.
Solange, honey, Daddy and I are taking you out. Take a bath and put on one of your pretty dresses. I'll come back in a few minutes to comb your hair.
As suddenly as she appeared, she disappeared. It didn't matter. I began dancing around my room, happy that my parents were actually going to take me out. I showered quickly and dressed. I took out the matching bows so Mom could put them in my hair. After combing my hair, Mom sent me downstairs to wait in the car with Dad. I played with Destiny, who was in her car seat cooing. When Mom finally came to the car, she was holding a black garbage bag.
Got everything?
Dad asked as he buckled her seatbelt.
Yep, let's get this over and done with.
Dad pulled away from the house. I'm not sure how long it took to arrive at our destination since I was caught up playing with Destiny. When the car finally stopped, Mom turned to look at me.
Solange, let's go, honey.
I'll be right back, Destiny.
I kissed Destiny's toes and hopped out of the car and followed Mom, who had the black garbage bag in her hand. We walked into the building and Mom and I were escorted into a room that had a table and 2 chairs and toys in a corner. I ran over to the toys while Mom sat on the chair. A few minutes later, Mom was joined by another woman who introduced herself as Mrs. Daythorne. While playing, I was hearing snippets of their conversation.
So, why did you bring her here?
Mom sighed loudly.
She's just too ugly for our family. She doesn't look like any of us.
Mrs. Daythorne walked over to me.
Hey, Solange. That's a pretty name. Would you like to go and play with the other kids?
I nodded excitedly.
Can I go?
Sure, baby.
Mrs. Daythorne took my hand and carried me upstairs to a large open space where there were children older and younger than me. She left me with a woman named Victoria before she left the room. It was nighttime before I realized that Mom left without telling me goodbye. The woman, Mrs. Daythorne, told me that this was my new home. If you haven't realized yet, my parents dropped me off at an orphanage. What kind of parents would abandon their child? I always thought my parents would come back, and I looked out the window for weeks waiting for them to return. Over the years, I fell in love with music, and Mrs. Daythorne even bought me a Walkman, which I cherished. At age 11, one afternoon while washing the dishes and singing, Mrs. Daythorne approached me.
You have a beautiful voice.
Thank you. I blushed.
Maybe you can try out for the TV show 12 and Under Sing-Off.
I don't think I could sing in front of a crowd. I lowered my eyes shyly.
You'll be great. You just need to believe in yourself.
That was the beginning of a beautiful friendship with Mrs. Daythorne. Not only did I win that year on 12 and Under Sing-Off, but I also auditioned for Scouting for Talent, which included adults and children, and placed second place. At age 14, she adopted me. By that time, I won numerous talent shows and had a voice trainer. I even dyed my hair black and got brown contacts to look like Mrs. Daythorne's daughter. At times, though, I couldn't help but think about my parents and how proud they would be if they knew about my accomplishments. I watched Destiny on TV as she won numerous pageants across the country and saw how proud Mom and Dad were. Don't get me wrong, I loved Mrs. Daythorne, but I just wondered if there was something I could have done to make my parents love me. During my college years, I entered a talent competition where the prize was $100,000 and a record label deal. I had never worked so hard in my life. Mrs. Daythorne made sure I stayed on top of my classes, and I pushed my voice training like never before. On the night of the competition, when they announced me the winner and I saw how proud Mrs. Daythorne was of me, I decided to change my name to Sydney Daythorne. It was time to let go of the past and not cling to anything that reminded me of my parents, including my name. In the final year of college, I had a hit album and became famous. Mrs. Daythorne and I moved to a larger house, and I even hired contractors to renovate the orphanage. I hadn't thought about my family for years until one night while watching the late-night news, I saw a family trapped in a burning house. My eyes widened in horror when I realized it was my family. As the reporter reported live from the scene, I watched intensely. Finally, everyone was saved from the fire and taken to the hospital. I dressed quickly and made sure my face was covered so I wasn't recognized and headed to the hospital. I left a note for Mrs. Daythorne and told her where I was going since she said she was working late that night. Upon arriving at the hospital, I spoke with the head doctor, Dr. Osborne, who said my family would live but would need plastic surgery if they ever wanted to feel human again. After months of secretly visiting my family and paying the hospital bill, I decided to reintroduce myself to my family while they were still at the hospital. For safety, I always wore my disguise to keep my fans away. I spoke with Dr. Osborne, who made a private room available for us for the meeting. Hi, thank you for meeting with me. My family still had some of the bandages on their body to protect their skin.
Well, Dr. Osborne said you paid our hospital bill, so it's only fitting that we say thank you in person.
Dad shook my hand.
Your parents must be so proud of you. They raised a wonderful daughter.
My eyes welled up with tears and I cleared my throat. My adopted mother did a great job. My real parents abandoned me at an orphanage when I was age 4. I removed my hat, glasses, and then contacts. I looked at Mom, then Dad, who gasped.
Solange?
Mom reached over and squeezed my hand.
My baby grew up to be a superstar?
Mom looked over at Destiny.
See, Destiny, if you work hard, you can be just as famous as your big sister Solange. Come on, shake your sister's hand.
Destiny extended her hand to me and I shook it and smiled at her. The last time I saw you, you were in a car seat. My mind wandered to the last time I saw Destiny before speaking again. So I have a proposition for all of you, I smiled. I dug in my purse and pulled out a small gift-wrapped box and placed it on the table. I'm willing to pay for plastic surgery for the 2 of you. Destiny piped up.
But there are 3 of us.
I know, there's a catch. I paused as I looked at my family. The 2 people whose plastic surgery I pay for will work for me for the rest of their lives, and the other, I picked up the box and twirled it between my fingers, gets to keep whatever is in this box. From where I was sitting, I could see the wheels turning in their heads as they tried to come to terms with what I just said. I don't need an answer now. I'll come back tomorrow and we can chat then. I stood up and packed up my belongings. I turned to Destiny. It was nice seeing you again. I turned on my heels and walked out of the room. The next day when I walked into the room, my family was already there. The plastic surgeon I brought with me was consulting with Dr. Osborne. Good morning. So, have you decided which 2 will be getting the surgery? Based on Destiny's lowered eyes and how she played with her fingers, I already knew what the outcome was before Mom opened her mouth to speak.
Dad and I decided that we will do the surgery, and Destiny can get whatever you have in that little box of yours.
Mom twitched excitedly in her seat. An avalanche of tears poured from Destiny's eyes. Neither parent comforted her. My heart broke for Destiny. There was a knock on the door and the plastic surgeon peeked into the room. I stood up. Dr. Fredericks. Mom and Dad decided that they will be doing the surgery. Can you please take them to chat with you and Dr. Osborne about the best way forward? Afterwards, please bring them back so they can sign the contracts I drew up. Dr. Fredericks smiled and opened the door for my parents to exit. They didn't even glance at Destiny. As her parents left, I sat on the chair next to Destiny and hugged her until she calmed down. I pulled away slowly and lifted her chin so our eyes could meet. I know I haven't been in your life, but I'd love to be in it if you'd allow me. Destiny sniffled and wiped her eyes.
I'm so sorry about what Mom and Dad did to you. They never told me about you.
She smiled.
I'd love to get to know my big sister.
I went into my purse and took out the small box and handed it to her. I believe this is yours. As Destiny opened the box, I continued. I knew Mom and Dad would have selfishly taken the plastic surgery, so I hope that with this, you are able to start over. Destiny pulled out the folded piece of paper from the box. She looked at me with a confused look, and I nodded at her, prompting her to open it. Once opened, Destiny covered her mouth to stifle a scream.
Are you sure about this?
She stuttered through tears. I'm sure. Destiny and I hugged each other. Over the next few months, I was extremely excited since Destiny came to live with me to recuperate after she did her plastic surgery. I insisted that she use the $10 million she received. She even asked me for ideas on how to invest and save her money, for which I was more than happy to help. It was an amazing 3 years, and I didn't expect it all to end so suddenly. Destiny returned to her beauty pageants while I put my parents to work with Mrs. Daythorne in the orphanage. After meeting with the lawyer earlier that day to finalize my will and estate, Destiny and I went shopping, then I dropped her off at the club before heading home. When I pulled up to the house, the front door was wide open. I pulled out my taser from my purse, came out of the car, and cautiously ventured into the house. Upon entering the kitchen, my heart raced when I noticed a plate of food shattered on the kitchen floor. I ran through the house looking for Mrs. Daythorne. Suddenly, someone snatched me from behind and placed a rag over my nose. I struggled for a bit before I fell limp.
Oh, little Miss Popstar is finally awake.
Mom pulled my head back roughly so I could look in her eyes. What are you doing? I was strapped to a table.
Do you think we wouldn't have found out?
Dad yelled.
And to think I trusted you.
Destiny added. What are you talking about? I looked at each of them questioningly.
Mrs. Daythorne told it was you who hired someone to set our house on fire. You thought it was a great idea to set our house on fire and pay for our surgeries so we could be your slaves for the rest of our lives?
And you would have gotten away with it if Mrs. Daythorne didn't snitch on you.
Mom glared at me. I didn't set your house on fire. Please believe me, I pleaded. Dr. Fredericks stepped out from the shadows.
Thanks to the money you gave to me, I can pay for your plastic surgery.
Destiny ignored my pleas and smiled at me menacingly. I screamed and struggled against the leather straps as Mr. Fredericks edged closer to me with a contoured smile on his face. Want to know what happens next? Get this video to 20,000 likes for part 2.